welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. We're going to start off this week with some fairly big news for Exchange developers and people that deal with Exchange data, especially those of you that have done so for a long time, possibly back in the days using EWS, Exchange Web Services, which have been on the depreciation pathway for a while now. Yes, haven't quite gone away because there's so many of you use it for so many things, and up until now there haven't really been very good alternatives. There is something new which hopefully will solve your pain, and that is a new Microsoft Graph import export API for Exchange, which is currently in public preview. Let me go straight to the blog post. All right, so it's a set of new API endpoints for Microsoft Graph. Allows applications to discover, import, and export content that is in Exchange Online mailboxes in full fidelity. And that's kind of important because there's so many different use cases. And I kind of talk to you people like you talk to me. I know the pain here with EWS depreciation. I know that there hasn't been a good mapping to existing Graph APIs. And so I think this is Microsoft responding to that, which is good to see. So this has a couple of different things. So you've got the discovery part, being able to kind of drill down into the mailbox hierarchy, including child folders and individual items. It's one solution. It's agnostic to mailbox types, which is kind of interesting. I think that's good. As you know, it feels more like a kind of replacement to EWS, I think, than anything else so far. You've got folder management, you've got extended properties, and there's some granular permission scope stuff as well. All right, so a couple of caveats. The first one, no public folder support currently. It does say currently. It says these APIs currently do not support public folders. Two more things. The whole thing is in public preview at the moment, so you can use it, just don't use it in production. Keep an eye on it. Yeah, it's definitely worth digging into and understanding and seeing if it solves the problems you're currently facing with EWS going away. And if this is the thing that can get you off EWS, I would say also, whilst it's in public preview, please, 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 if you find something you're doing in EWS and you can't do it in this one, do let them know. I think they really want to hear. I don't think they would have put out this new API targeting EWS depreciation if they weren't actively trying to solve this problem. So on that blog post that I shared, and I'll put a link in the description, there is a link to a very specific email address. I'm not even going to try and read it out, but like it's a mailbox that's been made to catch feedback for this very specific API. So please use it if you find something that is not available with EWS. All right, the other thing I'm going to say, and this is merely my guess, it's not in the blog post. I don't know. I have no insider information. This is currently in preview. I would suspect that as it comes out of preview and goes into GA, there will be some element of cost attached to using this. I feel like it will be consumption-based, similar to how the Teams export APIs run. Don't know, might be wrong, would love to be pleasantly surprised. Otherwise, that's just my feel, kind of gut feel, that this is lining up to be a kind of value-add consumptive API. All right, so that's that. That's kind of exciting if you're in the Exchange space, especially if you've been kind of worrying about what to do about EWS depreciation. Okay, there is a new Microsoft Learn tutorial for building custom engine agents using the Teams AI library and doing so with Teams Toolkit. This is good to see. It's a fairly familiar demo, which is kind of cool. It's good to see things that you see on demos eventually come out into supported kind of tutorials. This one is around the lights turning on and off, which has been on a couple of different kind of shows and things in the last couple of years. I think it was on Jeremy Thake's podcast originally. And then maybe I feel like it got some airtime, maybe at an Ignite or a Build or something. Yeah, and I've definitely seen it at a European conference as well. So it makes the rounds. It's kind of interesting. This screenshot makes it look very simple. But behind it, there is, there's a large language model that you can completely control and sort out for your own if you want to. And that makes it much more interesting. It allows you to say kind of, hey, it's dark in here, isn't it? And the lights will turn on. Or, you could build it out to do, like, I'm trying to think now. I want to say it was either it was one of the European conferences where somebody from Microsoft did this demo, but had an RGB light as well, so you could change the color. And so it was like, change the color of the room to the dress worn by like the Academy Award winner that year or something like that, right? And it kind of went off, did the web search thing, figured out the color and applied it to the light, and the bulb went red. Kind of cool demo. It kind of shows the possibility. So anyway, if you want to know how to do that, this is a really good place to start. So this takes you through how to set the whole thing up, how to use Teams Toolkit, and then how to use the Teams AI library with Teams Toolkit, which is good. So that's a good one. It's good to see more tutorials like that out there. I think they're always really helpful for people getting started. Okay, next. There's a new GitHub Copilot support for, not support, but like a plan, an all free plan for GitHub Copilot that is going to be available for people in Visual Studio. So I think this is just rich Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code, but I might be wrong. And it's kind of weird if that's true, which I think it is true. So there's Microsoft have, you know, this habit, if you like, sometimes of exposing some of how they work internally, you know, and they kind of, there is a law for it. I heard it on a podcast the other day. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, but it's like, you know, the sort of software or the solution kind of maps roughly to the structure of the organization. This is kind of one of those things, you know, so this is really good. Don't get me wrong. This is going to be a really cool thing for Visual Studio to have a free GitHub Copilot plan that you can use, meaning that everybody now can use GitHub Copilot in Visual Studio. It's a bit weird that it's not there in Visual Studio Code, but I imagine it's because it's two different teams and blah, 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 blah. It might also be in Visual Studio Code, but that won't be in this blog post because this blog post is all about Visual Studio. Again, one of those things. So we'll just take it as a good thing. You get 2,000 code completions a month, 50 chat messages, and access to the latest models. Now, depending on how much development you do, that might be enough for you, in which case you'll never pay anything, and that's amazing. I think this is really cool because I really want everybody to have the experience and try using Copilot as a developer, because it will change how you do development, and there's no two ways about it. And I've seen so many people say, yeah, everyone says that. And then they try it and they're like, oh, let me tell you this amazing thing you think. Like, yeah, I know. I heard on a podcast the other day, someone who I thought was kind of a bit of an AI skeptic completely won over it. So really interesting. So you should absolutely try it. This is a really good way of getting started. If you've got anything in Visual Studio today, you might as well enable the free plan. Give it a go. There's nothing to lose, no credit card, no subscription, no trial. It'll just cap out. So there's nothing to lose. And I feel like with that model as well, like no credit card, no subscription, and it just caps out, I'm hoping that opens up to enterprises as well. So if you're an enterprise user, I feel like you could try this out if your company is not giving you Copilot. And then you can go hassle them until they do. And then finally, there's some changes to that same Copilot in Visual Studio to make it smarter working across multiple files. So this is kind of next level. So everything I've seen so far with GitHub Copilot has involved looking at one file. I'm trying to do this method. Let me build it out for you, blah, blah, blah. Explain this bit of code, whatever. This one now is like looking across multiple files. And I think that will kind of really take things up a gear. Really interesting. This is currently in preview at the moment, but yeah, like, I don't know, go read the blog post, go watch the video. If this comes, it's going to be really interesting, I think, to kind of see the changes that are being made. And I think that what I like about it as well is the way they've done it. So they've made it really nice and clear about what's going on. All right, that's enough from me. Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. I'll see you next time.